You weren't put here to wish your struggles away. You weren't born to float through life, untouched by challenge. You were made for the climb, for the fight, for the becoming. So stop praying for comfort and start praying for strength. The pain you felt is not the enemy. It's the invitation. The obstacles in your path, they're not your punishment. They're your preparation. You don't need life to get easier. You need to get better. And everything you long for begins the moment you accept that sacred truth. Welcome to Unlocking Wisdom, where you rise not through ease, but through insight. This is your home for deep motivation, inner clarity, and the tools to awaken the unstoppable power already living within you. You were never promised easy. You were promised purpose. Let me speak to the ache inside you, the part of you that is tired, but not broken. The part that's silently wondering if it's supposed to be this hard. I see you. You wake up with the weight of expectation, with the quiet scream of "is this it?" lodged in your chest. You do your best to look strong, to keep pace, to keep smiling. But inside, you're asking the question no one dares say out loud. Why does it feel like I'm always fighting? Because somewhere along the way, you were sold a lie. The lie that success would come if you just stayed positive. The lie that good people live easy lives. The lie that comfort means you're on the right path. But hear me clearly now. As someone who carried a nation in my bones before it was born in the world, you were never promised easy. You were promised purpose, and purpose rarely walks the path of ease. It doesn't matter what they told you. It doesn't matter what you see on their filtered highlight reels. Real growth, it's gritty, it's quiet. It happens when you choose to rise again after no one sees your fall. It happens when you decide, against every excuse, that today will not defeat you. That this moment right now is yours to rise through. You don't need permission. You need to remember. Remember who you are beneath the noise, beneath the roles you play, beneath the masks you've worn to be accepted. You are not your failures. You are not your doubt. You are not your fear. You are the fire that survives through all of them. And maybe, just maybe, this pressure you feel isn't here to break you. Maybe it's here to build you, to sharpen you, to call you higher. You've been praying for peace, but peace isn't always quiet. Sometimes peace is power. Sometimes peace is that deep knowing inside. I am walking through this fire, and I will not be consumed, because you weren't made for the shallow. You weren't made for the shortcut. You were made for substance, for depth, for destiny. And that destiny won't wait for you to feel ready. It won't wait for the perfect conditions. It won't wait for the fear to disappear. It waits for your decision. You see, success doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from becoming someone who refuses to quit. Someone who refuses to let pain define them. Someone who stares back at their fear and says, "Move." That's what I had to do. When I led tired men through frozen nights, when I faced enemies, within and beyond, I didn't wait for ease. I forged strength. I didn't ask for mercy. I built resilience. I didn't wish the path was smoother. I became the man who could walk it anyway. And that's your path too. You don't need an easier life. You need a stronger spirit, a clearer mind, a heart on fire with truth. You need to connect, not to more noise, but to your inner knowing, that still, divine voice that's been whispering all along. This is your time, but you must rise. So start by looking inward, not with judgment, but with fierce honesty. Ask yourself, what pain am I avoiding that I was born to overcome? What truth am I denying to stay comfortable? What version of me is begging to be born? Then listen, not to the doubt, not to the fear, but to the sacred pull within you. That pull that says, there's more to you than this. Because there is. There always was. You've just been distracted by the noise, by the false belief that you need something out there to be whole. You don't. Everything you need has been buried inside you under years of fear, rejection, expectation, and pretending. But now, you get to unbury it. You get to remember. You get to rise. And I'll be honest, it won't be easy. There will be days you'll want to quit. There will be nights when your silence feels louder than the world. But those are the moments that matter most. That's when your destiny is listening. That's when your greatness is forged. So I challenge you now not to wait for peace, but to become it, not to chase ease, but to choose strength, not to fit in, but to rise up. Your journey won't look like anyone else's. Good. It's not supposed to. You weren't made to follow. You were made to lead, to build, to become. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly where you need to be to start, to return, to rise. So don't ask life to lighten the load. Ask for stronger shoulders. Don't wish for fewer problems. Develop deeper wisdom. Don't pray for the fire to go away. Become the kind of person who dances in the flames. Because the world doesn't change when life gets easier. The world changes when you get better. The fire in you awakened the power you forgot you had. Let me ask you a question. One that cuts past every surface answer. One that dives beneath the noise, beneath the doubt, beneath the pretending. When did you stop believing you were powerful? Not in the way the world shouts loud, prideful, hollow, but in the way that's sacred. The quiet strength, the deep certainty, the stillness that moves mountains. The power to choose your response, to rewrite your story, to rise even when your hands shake. Because that power is still in you. It didn't leave you when they walked away. It didn't die when you failed. It didn't disappear when you gave up on yourself. It's just been waiting. Waiting for you to stop apologizing for your strength. Waiting for you to stop editing your truth. Waiting for you to remember what you were born with. You see, the world doesn't just test your strength. It distracts you from it. It hands you labels, roles, comparisons. It teaches you to conform before it ever teaches you to listen. And slowly, you forget. Not because you're weak, but because you were trained to look everywhere but within. But now this is your moment to return, to silence the noise, to unlearn the lie that you are not enough. You don't need to become powerful. You need to remember that you already are. There is a fire in you, a holy fire, one that no failure can extinguish, one that no betrayal can destroy, one that burns even beneath the ashes of your brokenness. That fire is your knowing, your instinct, your deep, wild intelligence, your gut that told you something wasn't right, your heart that never stopped dreaming. That fire is you. And let me tell you something that changed everything for me when I faced my darkest hours. Pain does not mean the fire is gone. It often means it's trying to break through. You were never meant to live numb. You were meant to feel the fullness of life, the ache, the beauty, the tension. You were not built for safety. You were built for meaning. So if you feel like something's missing, like you're meant for more, like you can't settle anymore, that's not a problem. That's the spark. But a spark needs air. It needs space. It needs fuel. That's your job now, to give your fire room to breathe. And how do you do that? You stop silencing yourself to keep the peace. You stop downplaying your vision to fit into small rooms. You stop chasing perfection and start choosing truth. Because when you honor your truth, your fire grows. It grows when you speak what you've been afraid to say. It grows when you move your body even when you feel stuck. It grows when you stop seeking approval and start seeking alignment. Let me make this clear. Awakening your power isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming who you were before the world told you to shrink. It's not about being loud. It's about being real. It's not about being fearless. It's about being faithful. Faithful to your path, faithful to your purpose, faithful to the fire that's been quietly burning inside you for years. You don't need more motivation. You need connection to yourself. To the version of you who didn't give up. To the voice within you that still whispers, "We're not done yet." To the feeling in your chest that knows you're here for something bigger. And when that fire is awakened, when it finally finds breath, you won't need anyone to remind you of your worth. You'll feel it in your bones. You'll walk into rooms differently. You'll speak with clarity. You'll move with purpose. Not because everything is easy, but because you are no longer hiding. And when you stop hiding, You start building. You start shaping a life that reflects your truth. You start attracting people who see your light, not just your performance. You start waking up with the quiet joy of knowing you are becoming. But make no mistake, awakening is not always comfortable. Sometimes it burns. Sometimes it requires solitude. Sometimes it asks you to let go of what once felt familiar. But what you gain in return is priceless. You gain yourself, the real you, the one who doesn't beg for clarity but creates it, the one who doesn't wait for love but lives from it, the one who no longer fears the fire because they are the fire. And when you live from that place, nothing can stop you, not fear, not failure, not the opinions of others, because you are no longer chasing your power, you're living from it. So I ask you now, where in your life have you given your fire away? What voice inside you have you ignored for too long? What sacred part of you is ready to come alive again? Don't wait, don't hesitate, don't settle. Let this moment be your ignition. Let this message be your permission, not to try harder but to live truer. Because the better life you've been searching for doesn't come when the world gets easier. It comes when you get bolder, when you awaken, when you reclaim what was always yours. Rewrite the code, reprogram your mind and regain your life. Let me tell you the real battlefield. It's not out there. It's not the economy. It's not your past. It's not even the people who doubt you. The real war, it's in your mind. The thoughts you tolerate, the stories you believe, the voices you let guide you. That's where everything begins and everything ends. You can have all the potential in the world, but if your mind is chained, your life will follow. That's the hard truth. And you already know this, don't you? Because you've felt it. You've seen how you sabotage your momentum. Not because you're lazy, but because a quiet voice in your mind keeps whispering. You're not enough. You'll mess it up. You're too late. You don't matter. That voice is not your truth. It's your programming. And programming can be rewritten. You weren't born with doubt. You weren't born second-guessing your every move. You weren't born hating your reflection or fearing your dreams. No, that came later. Layer by layer, word by word, moment by moment you inherited beliefs from people who were scared, from systems that wanted you compliant, from experiences that told you safety was better than purpose. But now, it's time to interrupt the pattern. It's time to take back the pen and rewrite the code. I want you to know something deep in your bones. You are not broken. Your mind was just trained to protect, not to expand. It wants to keep you alive, not fulfilled. It wants safety, not greatness. And unless you learn to lead your mind, it will forever lead you away from your calling. But you don't have to let it, because your mind is powerful, but you are more powerful still. Your awareness, your choice, your intention, these other tools that set you free. And freedom starts when you start questioning what you've always accepted as truth. Let me ask you, who told you you had to be perfect to be worthy? Who told you that failure was final? Who convinced you that your past disqualifies your future? Whoever they were wrong. And it's not your job to carry their voice forever. Your job is to build a new one, a voice that says, I'm allowed to evolve. I'm allowed to try and fail and rise again. I am not my mistakes, I am what I make of them. I am not a victim, I am a builder. Because that's what you are, a builder of thoughts, a shaper of beliefs, a creator of new patterns. And if your mind is a garden, then you've got to start pulling the weeds and planting new truth. Do not underestimate how fast your life can shift. When you shift your thinking, not just with affirmations, not just with motivation, but with deep, daily alignment, you've got to become the guardian of your mind, ruthless with what you allow in, disciplined with what you feed it, because every thought is a seed, and your life is the harvest. So if you keep feeding your mind with fear, comparison, shame, what do you think will grow? But if you start feeding it with intention, courage, gratitude, clarity, what else could grow? But greatness, this is the power most people never activate. They spend their life reacting, never realizing they can reprogram, They let their subconscious run the show, unaware that their internal code is outdated and built for survival, not purpose. But you're waking up. You've already seen too much, felt too much, dreamed too much to stay the same. So I challenge you now, not with hype but with honor. Honor the fire in you enough to build a mind that can carry it. A mind that holds peace even in chaos. A mind that seeks truth over comfort. A mind that forgives the past and forges the future. You are not helpless. You are not stuck. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to choose something better. Start noticing the stories you tell yourself. Start interrupting the scripts that say you can't. Start replacing what if I fail with what if I fly. Start asking, what would the strongest version of me do right now? Then do that, even if it's messy, even if it's hard, even if no one claps. Because every time you show up that way, you're creating a new pattern. Every time you choose growth over fear, you're writing new code. Every time you speak power over your life, you're rebuilding your world from the inside out. And that's the secret. Not to change your life by force, but by frequency. By changing what you consistently think, feel, and believe about yourself. So stop waiting for external change. Start choosing internal mastery. You want your life to transform, then transform your mind. Train it like your life depends on it, because it does. You want to break generational cycles? Build new mental highways. You want to walk in peace? Discipline your attention. You want to rise into the person you were born to be? Then listen to me closely. You must stop negotiating with the voices that were never yours. And you must start speaking with the authority that was always yours. You are not just a thinker, you are the master of your thoughts. You are not just a dreamer, you are the definer of your destiny. You are not just a product of your past, you are the architect of your future. And the foundation is your mindset. Build it strong. Build it true. Build it as if your soul depended on it, because your soul is ready to be carried into its next level. Face the fear. Let it shape you, not silence you. Let me tell you a truth I learned not on a throne, but on a battlefield. Not through applause, but through silence. Not when I was winning, but when I was on my knees. Fear will visit you every single day, but it's not there to stop you. It's there to summon you. Fear is not the enemy. Avoiding it is. You've been taught to run, to shrink, to numb, to delay your dreams in the name of feeling ready, to avoid discomfort as if comfort is some kind of success. But what if I told you the only thing between where you are and who you are meant to be is the fear you refuse to face? Because here's the raw, divine truth. You will never outgrow fear. You outgrow your reaction to it. So let's look it in the eye. That fear that whispers, what if I fail? That fear that says, what will they think? That fear that hides behind perfectionism, procrastination, indecision, and the desire to be like. It's all fear. Dressed up, camouflaged, justified, but still fear. And if you keep obeying it, you will spend your life building a castle around your potential, brick by brick, excuse by excuse, until one day you look back and realize you protected yourself from the very life you were born to live. Not because you weren't talented, not because you weren't called, but because you let fear become your king. Not anymore today. We dethrone fear. We don't destroy it. We don't ignore it. We honor it. Because fear, when faced with faith, becomes a compass. It points directly to the place you need to rise, to the place that still needs your courage, to the part of you that's still waiting to be claimed. So, here's your task. Stop letting fear silence you. Let it shape you. Let it teach you where you need to grow. Let it show you the boundaries you've drawn around your greatness. Let it push you, press you, and stretch you into your strength. You think bravery means not feeling fear. No. Bravery is doing it anyway. Shaking voice, racing heart, doubt in your stomach. But still you move, because you've decided that your future matters more than your fear. I've lived it. I've stared across fields of enemies, not just in flesh, but in mind. I've had nights where doubt shouted louder than destiny. But I stood, not because I was fearless, but because I chose. Purpose over fear, Dot, and that's what you must choose to, Dot. Stop waiting for the fear to go away. It won't. It was never meant to. You were meant to rise with it, to carry it like a trembling torch through the dark, and say, watch me burn anyway. Because when you act in the presence of fear, you teach your soul that you are safe with. You teach your spirit that you will not abandon yourself again. And that lesson, that decision, will rewrite your future. Fear will come, but when it does, you will greet it like a friend. I see you. You're here because I'm growing. You're here because I'm stepping into something real. And I thank you for the signal. But you don't make the decisions anymore. I do. You take the steering wheel back. You stop hiding. You stop hesitating. You stop rehearsing your worthiness and start living it. You speak. You launch. You ask. You love. You forgive. You create. Not when you feel ready, but because your soul is already ready. And when you do that, you realize something powerful. Fear is loudest just before your breakthrough, right before the page turns, right before the door opens, right before you change. So if you're afraid right now, good. It means you're close. It means you're alive. It means you're standing at the edge of your next level. But you don't conquer fear by overthinking. You conquer it by acting. You walk into the room. You make the call. You take the step. You dare to live fully. Even if your knees shake. Because what's the alternative? A half-lived life, a graveyard of unlived dreams, a quiet life where everything looks fine, but nothing feels real. No, not you. You're not here to be invisible. You're here to be invincible in spirit. You're here to move through the resistance and rise anyway. Fear wants you small. Purpose wants you seen. Fear wants you safe. But growth wants you alive. So let fear come. Let it tremble. Let it speak. But do not let it decide. You decide. Because this is your moment to reclaim the pen. To write a story not of safety but of strength. Not of comfort but of courage. Not of avoiding life but of answering your call. You were not meant to tiptoe through life only to arrive at death safely. You were meant to blaze through it, ignited by your conviction, scarred by your becoming, and bathed in the glory of your truth. So let fear walk beside you, but never in front of you. And if you fall, good. Fall forward. Fall strong. Fall becoming. Because the one thing fear can never defeat is the soul that refuses to stop showing up. The power of discipline, reclaiming your daily battle. You say you want change. You say you're ready. But I must ask you, what are you doing daily to prove it? Because desire is not enough. Dreams, as sacred as they are, do not manifest in the heart alone. They're built in the trenches, in the dust of your discipline. Let me speak plainly. It's not your ambition that defines your future. It's your habits. Your greatness isn't in some far-off horizon. It's hiding in your next 24 hours. It's in your wake-up routine, in the food you put into your body, in the way you breathe when stress rises, in the words you choose when no one's watching, and in the actions you repeat when it feels like nothing is working. That's where transformation lives. Not in hype, not in chance, but in choice, repeated daily, relentlessly. Because the most powerful people I've known, led, and become were not the loudest. They were the most consistent. You think you need more time, more talent, more motivation. But what you really need is discipline. Discipline isn't punishment. It's not a cage. It's freedom in structure. It's love in motion. It's choosing what you want most over what you want now. Discipline is what holds the line when inspiration runs dry. It's the voice that says, we're doing this anyway. It's the anchor that keeps your dream alive when every other part of you wants to drift. And hear me clearly, discipline isn't always sexy. It's not always glorious. Sometimes it's choosing the gym when your body is tired. Sometimes it's saying no to what's easy because you're training for what's exceptional. Sometimes it's writing one more page, making one more call, repeating the basics when nobody's clapping. But let me tell you, that is where the legends are made. Not in front of cameras, but behind closed doors. Not on the mountaintop, but in the valley where no one sees you, but God, because your habits are sacred. They are a form of worship either to your future or to your fear. So I ask you, what are you honoring with your habits? Are you honoring distraction? Are you honoring comfort? Are you honoring excuses? Or are you honoring the fire in you that says, I was born for more? Because you can't serve two masters. You can't live in alignment while feeding disorder. You can't rise in purpose while entertaining inconsistency. You must choose your comfort zone or your calling, your old self or your becoming, the story you've outgrown or the life you've yet to build. And when you choose discipline, you choose transformation. Your body changes, your energy rises, your clarity sharpens, your boundaries strengthen, and most importantly, your trust in yourself returns. That's the quiet magic of discipline. It heals the part of you that once broke promises to yourself. It reminds you, you are someone worth showing up for. And no, it won't be perfect. Some days you'll fall. Some days you'll forget. Some days your mind will scream to take the easier path. But on those days, you remember discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about returning to your vision, returning to your strength, returning to your why dot, and your why must be bigger than your mood dot because moods fade. But mission stays. That's how I led a revolution, not by waiting for the stars to align, but by rising daily tired, unsure, but faithful to the future we could not yet see, but believed in anyway. So now it's your turn. Your life will reflect what you repeatedly do. You cannot wish your way into excellence. You train your way into it. And training begins today. Start small. Start messy. But start. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Write your goals out daily. Speak life over yourself each morning. Hold yourself accountable. Track your wins. Forgive your slip-ups. And keep going. Because every disciplined action is a vote for the person you're becoming. And slowly, day by day, you'll change. Not just how you move, but how you think, how you walk into rooms, how you speak to yourself, how you respond to chaos, how you lead others. That's the gift of discipline. It teaches your nervous system that you are safe in your strength. It teaches your mind that you can be trusted to follow through. It teaches your soul that you are no longer waiting, you are becoming. And when your habits are aligned with your highest self, you stop chasing purpose, you start embodying it. You walk with peace, because your soul is in motion. You don't need to scream to feel significant, you're living it. You don't need to prove anything, you are living proof. That's what happens when discipline takes root. You don't just change your life, you become the kind of person who never had to beg for a new one, because you built it, brick by brick, breath by breath, day by day. So here's my command to you. Start. Start when it's hard. Start when no one supports you. Start when your body is tired. Start when your mind says, this won't work. Start because your future is watching. And when it gets hard, and it will, don't stop. Don't pull back. Don't pause. Double down. Discipline isn't restriction. It's remembrance of who you are, why you started, and where you're going. The courage to be you. Come home to the truth inside. Let me speak to the part of you that's been pretending. The part that wears the smile while silently breaking. The part that's mastered the art of I'm fine while quietly asking, but when will I feel like myself again? Here's the answer. When you stop abandoning who you are to be who they expect. When you stop betraying your soul to keep the peace. When you stop running from the mirror and start returning to your own reflection, not with judgment, but with fierce love. Because there comes a moment in every person's life where the costumes grow heavy, the scripts get old, the applause fades, and the only question left echoing through your heart is this: who am I really? And in that sacred pause, everything begins. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about shedding what never belonged. It's about coming home to yourself. The truth is, many of us learned early on that being us wasn't safe. So we shaped ourselves into what would be accepted. We shrank our voices. We hid our wild. We adjusted our dreams to fit into the expectations of others. And little by little, we lost access to our own brilliance. But I'll tell you now, as someone who carried the burden of a nation's expectations, the cost of hiding is to hide it. Doesn't just take your freedom, it steals your vitality. And without authenticity, even success feels hollow. So I urge you, not as a leader, but as a fellow soul, reclaim your truth. Reclaim the voice inside you that says, I was never meant to fit in, I was born to stand in the light. Reclaim the dreams you buried under fear and practicality. Reclaim the softness you lost while trying to survive. Reclaim the art you stopped creating, the truth you stopped speaking, the life you stopped living when the world told you, tone it down. You don't need to tone it down, you need to tune in. Because your soul has been speaking this whole time, in the ache that won't go away, in the longing that wakes you in the middle of the night, in the tear that falls when no one's watching, in the moment of stillness where the world goes quiet and something inside whispers, there's more to me than this. That whisper is not weakness, it's your awakening. An awakening is not a grand event. It's 1,000 small decisions to stop betraying yourself. You want peace? It's not found in perfection. It's found in honesty. The honesty to say, I don't want this anymore. I don't believe this anymore. I can't keep pretending this doesn't hurt. Honesty is how you break the chains. Honesty is how you breathe again. You're not here to be a mirror for someone else's comfort. You're here to be a window to let the light through. But you can't do that if you're hiding. You can't do that if you're still carrying stories that don't belong to you. You can't do that if your entire identity is built on survival rather than expression. So how do you return to yourself? You listen, you sit in the quiet, you strip away the noise. You ask, what do I know? To be true when I stop trying to impress, prove, and earn, you breathe. You remember, you grieve the parts of you you abandoned. Then you begin again. No mask, no act, just you. And you'll find, as you walk back into yourself, that the more you become, the more peace you feel. Because authenticity isn't just a buzzword, it's alignment with your soul. And alignment is everything. It's the difference between burning out and burning bright. It's the difference between achieving and fulfilling. It's the difference between success that impresses and a life that means something. But authenticity takes courage. The courage to be misunderstood. The courage to walk alone for a while. The courage to say, this is who I am and I will no longer apologize for existing. Because when you stop apologizing for who you are, you give the world permission to do the same. You become a lighthouse, not loud, not forceful, but undeniable. You shine simply by being. And in that light, others awaken. Others remember, that is your purpose, not to perform, not to please, but to live truthfully and love deeply, beginning with yourself, and when you live. That way, you'll see, your people will find you, your path will meet you, your peace will return. So take off the mask, break the script, say the thing you've been too afraid to say. Choose the path that feels like home in your body even if it makes no sense on paper. Because the moment you choose your truth, you choose your freedom. And isn't that what you've been craving all along? You weren't made for perfection. You were made for wholeness. And wholeness begins with the courage to be seen. Seen in your flaws, seen in your brilliance, seen in your wild, unedited light. That is what it means to be you. And when you have the courage to walk in that, you don't just change your life. You become the change the world was waiting for. Rise by purpose. Live the life that calls you. This is the final moment. The moment where everything you've walked through, every whisper of fear, every buried truth, every inch of discipline, every awakening of your soul brings you face. To face with the life that's been calling you all along. Not the life others expected. Not the version you performed. But the real one, the free one, the purposeful one. And now, I'll ask you the final question. Will you rise into it? Because make no mistake, this life you've been searching for, It won't come wrapped in comfort. It comes in clarity. It comes in courage. It comes when you stop negotiating with your doubts and start answering the call. There's a reason you feel restless. There's a reason the old version of you doesn't fit anymore. There's a reason your soul keeps stirring when the world is silent. It's not because you're broken. It's because you're being rebuilt. Rebuilt for impact. Rebuilt for presence. Rebuilt to carry the weight of your calling with grace. Let me say it clearly. You were not created to just survive. You were born to build. You were born to lead. You were born to remember who you are not someday, but now. And I know what it's like to carry that pressure. To feel like your vision is too big, your time is too short, your pain too deep. But I also know this. There is nothing stronger than the soul that refuses to give up. That keeps rising. That keeps choosing better over easier. That keeps building when no one believes. That keeps walking even when the road vanishes underfoot. That is what success is, not luck, not applause, not ease, but endurance with intention, conviction with clarity, a soul that says, I am here for a reason and I will not leave this world empty-handed. And here's what you must understand. Purpose does not beg. It commands. It is not a whisper, it is a fire. And once you've heard its voice, you will never again be satisfied with a shallow life. That's what's happening to you. That discomfort you feel, that dissatisfaction with routine, that hunger for something deeper, that's purpose knocking. So will you answer? Will you rise not with perfection, but with power? Will you step into your story not as a victim of your past, but as a builder of your future? Will you finally stop shrinking to fit into a world that was never designed to contain you? This is your permission, not from me but from the divine. Place inside you that has always known. You were made for more than survival, more than obligation, more than checking boxes and chasing applause. You were made to move mountains with your voice, to build bridges with your truth, to stand so firmly in who you are that the ground beneath you shifts. That's what the world needs. Not more copies, not more noise, but you fully awake, fully alive. So what now? You stop waiting, you stop needing signs louder than your own soul. You stop praying for the easy road and start preparing for the right one. And as you step forward, you hold your head high not because you've done it all, but because you've decided to begin fully. You decide that your mornings matter, that your voice matters, that your peace is sacred, that your energy is currency, that your life is a message and you'll spend it with intention. Because this is what happens when you stop wishing for ease and start becoming better. You become unshakable not because you never fall, but because you always rise. You become magnetic not because you chase, but because you radiate. You become powerful not because you dominate, but because you own your presence. And in that presence, others awaken, others remember their light. Others dare to rise to. You become the permission someone else has been praying for. And all of that starts with a decision, right here, right now. The decision to live aligned, to live awake, to live as if your life matters deeply because it does. So stop looking back. Stop wondering what if. The path is forward. The answer is within. The time is now. You've walked through the fire. You've faced the fear. You've remembered who you are. Now it's time to build the life that only you can build. With your truth, with your hands, with your heart. And as you walk out of this message, may it echo in your bones. You don't need a life that's easy. You need a life that's yours. And every moment you rise into that truth, you give glory to the God who planted it in you from the very beginning. If this message ignited something in your soul, don't let it end here. Leave a comment and share your thoughts. Like the video to spread the light. Subscribe to Unlocking Wisdom and let's keep rising together.